Yo, this is your boy, the Katana of the Omega 13 podcast, and today's guest is Stephen Dungdu, creator of the independent, promising project called Purpose Versus, or the Purpose series for short. And before we begin, let me just say that it's been a blast interviewing this gentleman right here. And before we begin the episode, let's just show a clip of the trailer to see to if you want to know what I'm talking about here and why I put him on the podcast. Till then, that's all to say for now. I hope you enjoyed the episode as well as while recording this episode of the podcast. I appreciate it. Sayonara and enjoy. Yo, this is your boy, the Omega 13 of the Omega 13 podcast, and today's episode is about this gentleman right here, Stephen Dungdu, of Purpose Versus, the game that was influenced by Final Fantasy Versus 13, not 15. Yes, I hate 15, and also Near Automata and other Japanese projects. So thanks for having you on.
It's my pleasure, man. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so basically, I first heard your project yesterday. I was talking to a friend who was big on verses, and he said, and I was looking on the street, said, "Whoa, this looks interesting." And I looked on it, and I looked at it, and it's like, "Holy crap! Is this really by one person? A team of four would be possible, but one person doing all the choreography, doing all the graphics, and doing the gameplay segments." Because that really impressed me. And the voice acting, I will get to those steps on a little later if you're allowed to talk about it due to like you're putting yourself on NDA and whatnot. So
Imagine putting myself on NDA, like.
yeah,
But
because I don't want
it's...
to get don't want to spoil your fans on the project. I know you get really too passionate, but I was impressed,
Yeah.
man.
Thank
So
you.
basically, how you got the idea to start the project off?
Surprisingly enough, it was just a random what if kind of situation, like 3, 4 years ago. And I was just in my room and I was just doing some sketches. And I just finished watching an anime called Psycho Pass. And I'd already had a little bit of animation knowledge, but I wasn't actually that good. Like I didn't actually have the skill sets that, I would have required to make something as you see now. But it was just the thought of like, what if? And back then, like the whole plan of like the project was very, very small in scope. It was just going to be like a 5 episode, really small mini series on like YouTube, and I just put it
Nice.
out there. But then like the more I basically poured my soul into it, essentially, like the more I kind of inspired myself to basically be greater. And then around about 2018 time, I released something, but then I got like, I wouldn't say negative criticism, I'd say like constructive criticism. But that was like the kind of turning point for me, because I could have just like given up, but I was like really determined to actually like, because I'd already started so much, and I was getting like all this feedback, and I was like, you know what, like let me actually take this in and actually, come back and really come back and make something good, and like really make this something that I really wanted to do, because I'd already grown passionate about it by that point. So I
Yeah.
was like, you know what, if I'm really going to be doing this, let me like do this the very best I can. And thus, a couple more years down the line, but at that back then I was just working on the animated series, which is called Versa. But Versus I started last year because I was like, you know what, again, it was like a what if situation. And it was like, because I've already done like game development, like I just like a really small hobby, like throughout the years. But like again, like back when I started and had the idea of it, it wasn't something that I was really good at. It was just something that I could just do. But a lot of the process that has just been like a kind of like a self-taught kind of thing as I'm doing it, basically. So even now I'm still learning and that sort of stuff. And yeah, like that's pretty much how I got into it. That's the journey basically, and the game has been in development like from
Yeah.
now 1 year in development. So
Damn, that's really impressive because basically when I saw the gameplay, the prototype beta footage you call it, and it
yeah,
looks like a complete game if it was in the
yeah,
PS2 era. I'm not
yeah.
lying.
Thank you.
Because basically,
I'm honored.
I'm just seeing like a PS2 version of Near Automata, and like even though it's just like a boss, it's like I know you're demonstrating, but what you're trying to see is a boss fight and how chaotic it will get, and
Yeah, yeah,
how you can jump from rooftops and land on the streets.
yeah.
Do you plan to actually add like NPCs down the line later on, because or not, because it's like a post it looks like a post-apocalyptic like setting a bit.
That environment was only for testing purposes. Like for that environment, I literally
Yeah.
just mocked up really, really quickly. Like
Yeah.
part of it was done like a street scan, and I
Yeah.
basically used that because I plan to redo that environment actually because
Oh.
I don't want it. I don't really want it looking like that. I want it to actually be interactable. You're going to be able to do actual parkour,
Yeah.
like not just like it's not just platforming. It's like actual like interacting with your environment, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to remodel that, and yeah, pretty much like the NPCs. I feel like I feel like I will have them in, but the kind of missions that you do are you don't really interact with like people on the street. I mean they're there, but like you don't really you're not really supposed to kind of talk to them. You're just supposed to like kind of do the mission that you're set
To do.
basically. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I meant to put that as like for the environment to make it more lively.
Yeah, yeah, that's yeah, that I'll have
But
to do that.
just them
Yeah.
walking around and whatnot. And
Yeah.
yeah, I don't want to push that much stuff to you, but that's still what I saw is really impressive and whatnot. So
Thank you.
with the
Like the environment is not actually in post-apocalyptic era. It's actually supposed to be in like kind of a little bit ahead of modern day.
yeah,
So like it's gonna look more kind of the streets are gonna look a little bit more lively than that and lots of stuff.
nice.
It's gonna be just like emptiness everywhere. Like there's gonna
Yeah,
be something going on here, something going on there.
yeah.
All that good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I saw the trailer, I saw some like martial arts choreography. Are you like a person who practiced martial arts or something like
I
that?
actually am.
Because I
Yeah.
looked at the trailer, like the main character Caleb was like basically like how he dodged the spear and whatnot. And
Yeah.
when he dodged like bullets, he did like when people do like in those Chinese
Yeah.
wushu
Wushu,
demonstrations.
definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I've always loved this. Martial arts has been a huge part of my life
yeah.
since I was 10. And yeah, I'm actually a first dan black belt in karate.
Nice
So that's I basically use a lot of my own knowledge and
techniques.
like what I would
Techniques.
do in the situation. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously I can't do all of those I like anime in the situations,
yeah,
but I basically apply what I know and kind of like do it over the top and anime-ish
yeah.
and then basically use that. That's how I'm able to do my own fight choreographies.
That's really interesting because basically it looks like a well done professional movie, but on a budget. No offense,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
it's like
No, none taken.
the
I
marsh.
am.
Yeah, because this
Pretty
one
much.
guy, like this one, the one Mook just tossed away his gun, basically went all close ranged.
Hmm.
And then he disabled it and started like
Doing the boxing, yeah.
doing the boxing and martial arts. And of course he lost because is Caleb supposed to be like an assassin or something? Or I
Yeah,
don't want to
he's
get into like
very without any spoilers.
yeah,
It was actually in the dialogue in the trailer itself. Like there's this secret institution that the government have kind of taken ownership of, and it's this institution of basic child soldiers, basically.
yeah.
And they are basically trained to the max, and they're trained in secret, and they're trained to be the very best domestic militaries that the government can use them in secret to, kind of wipe out their opposition in
Like do
total.
unauthorized war crimes and like ninjas basically.
Yeah, 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 basically. Like anything that the government needs to take care of in a dirty way, like
Yeah,
behind closed doors,
yeah,
that's the secret army that they use basically.
yeah. That's really cool because I'm really into like assassins and ninjas and whatnot. And
Yeah,
I was
same.
based on like the Hitman series since I was a kid, like I was 11 or 12, and I always loved ninjas as well,
Mm,
like Naruto, Flame of Recca,
definitely. Mm,
Edo Period Ninjas, Cyber Ninjas. Excuse me, I have to blow my nose. I said
that's
before,
that's cool.
like I was in like have bad allergies, so how you got into the range of like voice actors? How you like got a hold of them and how they agreed with the project? I don't want to give into like NDA or spoiler territory.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to, because I mean, I'm the one who like runs my own casting. So I mean, I will
Yeah.
tell you if I want to tell you. So,
Okay, thank you.
but basically with the voice acting, like Twitter is actually an amazing place for it. Like anyone, in fact, anyone who's watching this has an indie project who wants some voice actors,
Yeah.
just send a tweet out and put a hashtag casting call. The voice acting community is really strong, like community. Like they really do like retweet and basically tell each other about upcoming projects and that sort of stuff, and projects like that need voice actors and that sort of stuff. So when I started, I didn't actually think I was gonna get that many voice actors. In fact,
Yeah.
I actually planned to like do some of it myself, because I was expecting, yeah, I'll pull it out, but just to see if I'll get some voice actors. But then, in my first one, which I did last year, back in May
19?
time, yeah, in
2019?
2019 in May, yeah. I did my first casting call, and like the response I got from it was really high. Like back then, like
Those are
75, I got
holy crap.
75, yeah, 75 people auditioned for the project, and even more requested to like audition in the first place. Like this
Yeah.
75 were the people who actually auditioned, and I was like, wow, like like the voice acting community is amazing on Twitter. Like there's some really talented people out there, and like yeah, I basically got it from them, and they
That's how
agreed
it began,
to
man. That's
work on the
really cool,
project,
man.
and yeah,
Yes, those on those tweets, those guys really seem really thankful and really happy they're able to been on, even though they worked on like
I'm
Flash
thankful.
projects. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because for the longest time, as you can tell, I'm a big fan of Final Fantasy Versus 13, not 15,
Mm.
by the way. That's a disappointment. I don't know
You
about
gotta throw
you,
that out there.
but I did not like 15. I just wanted to, for the longest time, my whole life is just to play Versus 13.
Mm,
Or at least found out what is the actual story about it, what is its
true.
concepts,
Mm-hmm.
are there any cutscenes done? I want to see the finished
Mm.
concepts and cutscenes and the like. I
I
know
heard that it
Nomura,
was gonna be very different. I saw some from I saw from some source. I can't even speak English today. I saw from some source that the story was gonna be really dark and to do with like death, and like how like, and there was
yeah,
this part where like Noctis could like um interact with kind of like the dead in
yeah,
a way, and kind of like have them as like I don't know, but it was like really cool, and like
really, really
I
cool.
kind of I kind of wanted like to at least see
Yeah,
what it was gonna be.
be like,
Yeah, exactly. And the aesthetic, I love the aesthetic, as you can probably tell.
yes,
But like, I love the aesthetic of 13, how with the kind of modernized and like mixed with fantasy and that sort of
yes,
stuff, and like it was cool.
yeah. I
And
still
Noctis, and sorry,
yeah.
actually no, I'll continue. But like, yeah, Noctis also, he was pretty badass in that trailer. So
Yeah, badass. I
yeah,
still watch that trailer every week or two because
same.
every time because it's the best moments of video game history. It
Mm,
has no gameplay footage. It just shows a cool cutscene, shows his characters not choking around, kills a
mm,
bunch of soldiers like knights with guns. That's also
mm-hmm,
look cool.
mm-hmm,
And it's trail and I was invested in the world. I want to know who the hell this character is. What's his name? Who are his friends? How the environment is. I just want to get
mm,
invested in that world. And ever since that trailer, I has not been that well invested in a video game world.
mm,
Still to this day, and I know your project is a tribute to that, but with your own other influences like martial arts and
mm,
anime and whatnot.
mm-hmm,
But I've been into that since like 2007. Like when I was in like middle school or beginning of eighth grade. It's
mm.
been over 10 years. And when I first saw that trailer, I was like, holy, this is cool, man. Watch it
Yeah, yeah.
again, watch it again, watch it again. I remember going back on Google every day, typing in Final Fantasy Versus 13 every day. And then go to
Mm-hmm.
some like Korean site if you can tell if you're alive back then. And then type it
Mm-hmm.
again every day. I was worried that it would be. I thought the project was canceled for a long
Mm,
time. To the point I was like, still typing on it, still looking for some little morsel of information. That's how I
mm-hmm,
was into the project.
mm,
And I thought 15. Fast forward to like a couple years after the amazing E3 trailer, when it be reinvented to 15. I thought we're getting the Versus 13 game, and when I played it, I was disappointed. My brother loved it
Yeah.
though, but I did not like it.
Mm. Yeah, I
And
understand that. I understand that.
yes,
Like, I feel like I don't know. I feel like Noctis's personality, like, isn't representative of what was shown in the Versus 13 trailer. But
yeah,
obviously, since the story changed, like, I kind of did feel like I was going to expect that, which I
yeah,
kind of did. But I would have definitely loved to see like Versus 13 Noctis, and with the whole like Kingdom Hearts like Remind, like Yuzora,
yeah.
all that sort of stuff. I feel like Nomura is trying to find a way
Bring
to
that back
weave it in,
because it's his
even if it's not
style.
exactly, even if it's not exactly Versus 13. I feel like elements from that game, he's definitely weaving it in. I think I saw from a source that he actually said no, it's actually different, but like with the ending of like Remind, you can't tell me that's
You
a
can't
shot for
tell. That's
shot.
not a different man.
You can't
Dude,
tell
don't
us that's a
lie.
shot for shot. Like Versus 13, when we're in the car and also stuff. From the camera shots to the face expressions,
Yeah.
like to the actual animations themselves. Come on, Nomura.
To like
You know, you know
to
you.
look at the setting. Look at the setting
Exactly.
with the giant buildings.
Mm,
That don't tell me that is Insomnia, man.
mm.
Because I know what Insomnia and Midgar is like. Midgar is a diesel punk city
Mhm,
that is controlled by a mega corporation, while Insomnia is controlled by a royal family
mm,
with the retains of the last crystal.
mhm. Very
Yes.
true.
So I before during development you even though it's supposed to like a fan project, right? And you decided to put Sonic the Hedgehog in it, so you can test.
Oh, you found it. Yeah, yeah, I
Yes.
did.
Sorry about that. If that embarrassing you,
Nah,
I love Sonic.
nah. I actually forgot that I even did that, like
Yeah.
for a bit. But yeah, I do remember that. I do
Yeah.
remember that.
And you decided to scrap it because it was embarrassing, and it
It
didn't fit
wasn't
into.
no, not the fact that it was embarrassing. It's the fact that if I was gonna take this project seriously, because this was back when like it was indeed just a little, like
Whatever.
back when it was just a little mini series. I wasn't really taking the project seriously. But when I decided to take the project seriously, I was like, okay, certain things definitely do have to go, and Sonic
Yeah.
is definitely one of them. Like I don't want to like get into a fight with Sega for like
Yeah.
using Sonic, and
Yeah.
also not just that, but I was also in the process of changing like most of the story, and I was back then the story wasn't as dark as it is now, and I
Yeah.
feel like with the way I've written the story now, and bearing in mind it's very different from when Sonic was in it. I don't think Sonic would fit
In that
in the
aesthetic.
story with the story because it's too dark. It's
Too
not,
dark, too
no, it's too
depressing,
dark. Yeah.
and seeing all those dead men, and Sonic will have a freak
Mm.
out if he saw that, or Sega.
Exactly. One of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, let's get back to the gameplay segments. Like you
Yeah, of
show this
course.
gameplay segment of what I said before about the whole post-apocalyptic prototype setting. That was really impressive. Like seriously, you just surpassed most AAA developers these days. Like I don't want to bash on today's developers, but they do the same type of games over and over again, but with a new paint of a new paint of a, a new bucket of paint and a new gimmick or two to separate from each other.
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing I'm really trying not to do with this project. Like
Yeah,
the thing with the gameplay is I'm really trying to combine every game mechanic that I love in all the games that I play into one game. Like I'm developing the game less of a what can I do and what can't I do, and more like what do I want to see? What do I want to
yeah,
experience when I actually play the game? How would I want to move? Like how would I want to traverse from A to B? Like what would I think is really sick, and what would I think would feel really good when I'm attacking an enemy? And like
yeah,
me, I've played kind of enough of those games to kind of know when someone would feel bored of it, and I'm really trying like to kind of think outside the box in how I'm doing my combat system.
yeah. Because I love that answer because you wanted to push yourself to the boundaries. You're using your
Mm,
personal project to see how well you will do, not to like be like everyone else, like, oh, look at me, check out my project and whatnot, yada yada, so on, so forth. But
mm,
I really appreciate that you did some sketches to the point you're doing like CGI that puts like many game developers to shame. Even with that, even with that professionally done beta prototype sequence, and And I know you're going to change all about all of that because it's a prototype and a beta
Mm.
after all.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and and I cannot wait to see the finished project how it'll play, how it'll be
Mm.
received by people. I
Like
know
as of now, it looks much better than it did. I'm actually surprised that like many people still like use that video and go, "Oh no, it's looking really good right now." Like when I look at that video, I'm like, "Damn, I kind of want to delete it,"
yeah,
because
like
like it looks
terrible.
so much like right now it looks so much better than it did back then. So
Yeah,
even
that's
like the fact that you guys are giving me like really good feedback on that,
yeah.
you guys are definitely in for a treat. I can promise you that.
Yeah, I'm really happy you say so because I cannot wait to see the finished project. Like it's going to
Mm,
be like chaotic. Like you heard of shoot 'em up games. Like you play a starship, a little
mm-hmm,
spaceship, and you go against an army, and
mm,
they're firing you back with bullets and laser blasts and whatnot.
yeah.
Or like near Automata. It's going to be
Yeah, yeah,
that type
yeah,
of
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, especially because I'm in the game. I've already this isn't really a spoiler because I've already put this kind of content out there. But in the game you can switch between weapons. I mean, as you can in most
Damn.
games. But like the gun combat that I have, because you switch between bare fists, um sword kind of combat, like melee sword combat, and then you can have like a firearm, so like either a pistol or like a rifle or something like that, depending on your class.
Yeah.
And Caleb, well, by default he has a pistol, but the pistol combat, I don't want it to just be like, because most pistol combat in most games, like, you know, I love most games, but like, to be honest, like they're kind of rigid when it comes to the pistol. Like it's kind of like you can only aim and you can only move around so much. But like me, I'm really inspired. I kind of mix that with kind of martial arts and kind of like what I want to see. And
Holy
basically,
crap.
so you can like really like the gameplay when you're moving around with like your gun, like that's
Yeah.
what I'm currently most proud of, what I've done in the development so far. And I'm actually about to release more like, you know, gameplay kind of like in development footage really soon on my channel.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be able to like see some of that, and you basically be able to like, you know, flip around, dodge in real time. And like, you know, there's like a mechanic where
Yeah.
you can chain your dodges, and you can basically do that while you're shooting. So
Holy
I want
crap.
to do that as well.
Like
Yeah.
like a Devil May Cry. You have heard of the movie Equilibrium with Christian
Yes,
Bale?
definitely, definitely. In fact, I had that in my mind, but I was like, will you get the reference? But yeah, definitely Equilibrium.
Or
That whole
Bayonetta
the
because
whole
those
gun
games are
through.
awesome.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And I
It's
also want
like
to incorporate
Trickster
that
mixed
into
with
like
Gunslinger, but you actually meshed it into two. Like you,
exactly.
yeah, basically get rewarded for dodging bullets and
Mm,
counterattacking at the same time.
exactly. Like the gun action is gonna feel very much like almost as if it's you're still hacking and slashing but long range pretty much.
Yeah,
And also on top of that, like you're gonna be able to like have like a mechanic if you do want to like focus on like, you know, the aiming
yeah.
aspect of it. Like you can like kind of switch between like the over the shoulder view and like um the third person kind of normal
That
view
is
and that sort of
dope,
stuff.
man.
So
Cannot wait to see that. And even though you don't have the knowledge yet to like hack enemies into pieces when you're close combat range, I know you got the whole impaling down, but chopping a limb off or two or a head,
I feel like no, I feel
it's
like
kind of
that's
too like too
something that
dark. It's kind of like too dark, so he decided like, let's just keep it with the impaling.
I feel like that's something that's been on my mind and definitely on the table. If I feel like, you know, like dismemberment should be in it, then I'll add it in. But
Yeah,
if it's something that I feel like it would look better if it wasn't in there, then I won't put it in, because, you know, dismemberment works for some and not for others.
yeah,
So, you know, that's for me to kind of decide like with my game and see, you know, is
yeah.
this something that I want to add in?
That's really cool. Still, that mechanic, dude, like he's showing in the videos, like really impressive in the
Thank
like.
you.
And besides those
Everything in the
two,
trailer, yeah,
yeah,
everything in the trailer. I want to like all the fighting that you see in the trailer. I want to incorporate as
yeah,
gameplay. So as you saw when Caleb lifted the guard up and then stabbed him in midair and threw him
yeah,
into the enemies. I'm planning on having that as a game mechanic. And that's going to
nice.
be difficult to do, but like I said, I'm not trying to see, oh, what can I do, what can I not do, what's going to take too much time to do. I really want to give an experience, a gameplay experience that is fun and goes past my boundaries. It's a learning experience for me too. Like I really want to
Yeah.
like push myself and really do something that I don't see a lot,
And people
pretty
do
much.
like these days. Like this is
Yeah, yeah.
why like I don't mind the knock on like I love video games, but the
Mm,
last time a non-Japanese developer did a game that like decided this game's let's see what we can do with the first-person shooter genre. That was Titanfall 2. Before that was the Halo series. But with those games, let people be saying like, what I could do with this, how I can
Yeah.
incorporate this into the combat, or how these events of the story flow within the game. With Titanfall 2, you see that like there's Titan gameplay, like you're in the cockpit of the Titan, and how in the parkour and how and then the platforming and how it works in Titanfall 2 was really satisfying. How you different ways how you can like slide and shoot enemies, or how you can destroy Titans. You feel what you get what I'm feeling?
Yeah, I feel what you're feeling.
It's like still want to play that game again one day, but due to EA screwing that awesome game up with putting it between two major releases, I don't have faith in EA. But what you just said is like mind blowing. Like over one person. No offense. I know you got actors and whatnot and friends to talk about the story, but that is really impressive. And like these major corporations these days cannot think of a good story to push the boundaries. Look, we were at the PS5, Xbox Series X or so, and they just nailed the graphics. They didn't nail the gameplay, and they didn't nail the user experience or UX. And with menus and whatnot, I know you're still you're not a professional yet, but are the menus going to be like a bland menu, or are you going to like design it over time to like have like a computer interface like the Matrix, or just like
menus as in like UI, like pause screens and that sort of
yes,
stuff. Okay, so I was actually talking to one of my good friends about this on my Discord. But what I want is to, because I'm also a composer as well. Like, in fact, that's one
nice,
of the things I am foremost.
yeah,
I want to like kind of like do something creative with that musically. So
yeah,
I had this idea where in the pause menu it's basically the drone note of the key which the soundtrack is in, and
yeah,
if you select if you hover your mouse over like one of the options, like it plays like it plays a jingle but like, in the key of what basically that drone note basically, and like it's basically it changes according to like the mood of like the scene, the mood of like like where you are at the story basically.
yeah,
So I want it,
nice,
like music's going to be a big part in purpose versus definitely. And in
yeah,
fact another way music's going to be like really big is actually in how I've thought of a way on how to like have the soundtrack change according to who you play as, because in purpose versus you don't just play as one person. In missions you have a mission partner who is and they basically change, like you can like have different mission partners in your missions and also stuff, and basically switch between the two as you're basically playing basically. So what I want is to basically have like, so there'll be like the music in the background and like a battle theme, but I want like different variations according to like the vibe of the character basically.
yeah,
So
nice,
like basically something like that. But music's going to be a big part, and also like, UI wise, just like that as well.
yeah,
And I want to really push myself with like UI as well. So instead of just the like for the menu screen, I don't want
yeah,
to just have like just like a you select one. I want to have like I want it to kind of be incorporated into like 3D environment in a
yeah.
sense. So yeah, I'm really like gonna look at that and see what I
I'm
can
really
do.
looking forward for that too, because the reason why I brought that up is because of two reasons. One, with Persona 5's, like you heard that game, of course, like there's the
Yes.
menu, the UI screen is like really flashy, like bam, like
Mm.
stylish.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing people don't remember 007 GoldenEye for N64. You
I've
press
heard, yeah, I've heard of the game. I haven't played it.
when you press the start button, it zooms to James Bond's watch, and
Mm.
the menu is basically his watch.
Mm-hmm.
People, if you remember playing James Bond 007 for the N64, the pause menu is actually James Bond's watch. And when you're switching around the menus,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, besides that nice, cool beat, ambient beat, but how you move the menus is basically through computer screens throughout the watch, which is really dope.
Mm.
I try looking that up on the internet if you can find it. Just type in GoldenEye 64 menu screen. If you can find it, it's like really dope.
Hmm.
Yes.
I
So
remember to do that.
and about that composer stuff. So let's get to that. But basically, you said you're a composer, and I looked on
Yeah.
tweets like you're a composer. So basically, the whole you're doing the whole soundtrack by on your own as well, which is impressive for a game. Like usually that goes like the composer, the programmer, the concept artist, the writer. You're doing all of that and incorporating it to like your own feel to it,
Exactly. That's
which
something
is
that like all this like like solo dev stuff. I am a very strong believer in if you have the aspiration, like totally go for it. Like
yeah,
because like I said, like I started the project before I even had the skill to even do this. And it's something that, like if you have a dream, don't not do it because you can't do it yet. Like all great things take motivate, like all great things take the effort to actually put it into action, and it's whether or not you decide to do that that determines whether it's going to be a reality or not. And the thing about effort is anyone can put it in, so it's like you're not some you haven't got like magical powers because you can do this because that person also had to like put in the effort and like the work to like get to that level. So you know like I really do, I'm a believer in hard work breeds the success. So
exactly.
yeah. And it's something that I've been really passionate about. So
Yeah.
I'd be doing myself a huge disservice if I
If you didn't put
did
in the
not
time or didn't use your
exactly,
believe in your ability to do it, like basically it's like
exactly.
really impressive. Like it's
Mm.
making like some people like tagging people already. Some people even tag Jotaku. It's a play on Kotaku,
Yeah,
which,
yeah, yeah.
ugh. But still, you deserve all the praise you got because it's impressive. I watched the trailer like over and over again, and it shows like there's I know there's two different characters. Like one is Caleb, and the other one I forgot his name. Probably didn't tell him his name yet, but
Yeah, Tobias.
Tobias. And
Yeah.
I believe are they like brothers or they're like close friends?
They are, yeah, why not? Yeah, they are very closely connected. I'm gonna say
Yeah,
that.
okay. Interesting. Let's keep it that way. Don't want to get to like spoiler
Yeah.
get territory and
Mhm.
whatnot. I just want to wait till the project comes out. And about
In
the
fact, yeah,
project,
they're closely connected, but they're separate, just like the trailer says. So yeah,
yeah,
there you go. That's your answer.
yes, I appreciate that. And is the project going to be like a short little mini series still, or is it going to be turned to like a full fledged game?
So this is how I plan to do it.
Yeah,
Because the two stories of Versa and Versus, Versus is the animated series, Versus is the game.
yeah,
They happen like the events of the game and the animated series happen both simultaneously at the same time. So whilst this is happening to Caleb, this is happening to Tobias. So
yeah,
I plan to develop the game. The first chapter of the game, which is the length, which I'm planning to make the length of like a relatively full game,
yeah,
and that will have the first basically like encompass like the same amount of content that happens to Caleb, what happens to Tobias in the first episode of that animated series basically. So that's how I basically plan to have it. So I'll be working on the game, then after the first chapter release, then I'll animate the first episode of the
series.
animated series, and then go back game series, and also have
Oh,
some in
interesting.
between projects. Yeah, I also have some in between projects that I have coming up that I've spoken to some other developers about, which obviously I'm not gonna
Yeah,
tell you, but
yeah,
but no, like there are some very juicy stuff coming up. So on top
yeah.
of that, there's also some other stuff which
So you're just going. So
I'm
basically, you
excited
don't
to
want
see.
to. So that's so you're doing that way so you don't get burnt out or stressed.
Yeah. Because one of the reasons why, because when I first started the project, it was just going to be an animated series, and I'm not gonna lie, but after a while of just doing the animated series over and over again, like me, my brain is kind of like it thinks of new ideas and constantly thinks of new ideas
Yeah,
and like kind of gets bored of old ideas. Like in fact, I'm actually surprised that I've even like done this for as this long. Like I know
yeah,
that when I do something for as long as I have, then that's the one. Like that's
yeah,
but like at the time I think the last year 2000 and no, not, yeah, last year 2009, but somewhere around like February.
yeah,
That's when I had the concept idea to like, what if I did a game? Like I didn't do it until like November
yeah,
of last year, but like in February I was pondering the idea, and like I found myself kind of like slacking a little bit on the development because like like I wanted to kind of like branch out. But I was thinking to myself, because back then a game wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
So I was like, Don't do it," but I kind of do want to do it. So I was like, kind of like eating myself, kind of like. But then when I
Yeah.
decided to do it, I was like, it kind of felt better, to be honest. Like, I mean, people tell me, "Oh, you're doing two projects at the same time. Like, that must be so taxing for you." But honestly, like, I feel better doing that because now I can, like, if I want to do this, I do this. If I want to do that, I do that. I mean, I've already like planned that I'm gonna do, like, the game first, but that makes me look
Yeah.
forward to working on the animated series. And then when I'm
Nice.
working on the animated series, because when I was working on the cinematic trailer, like, it made me miss working on the game, and that made me more motivated to finish the cinematic trailers to work back on the game again. But if
Yeah.
I was just continuing to work on the animated series throughout, it would just feel like, just some long thing that was never going to end. And that
Yeah.
basically, for me, that's what helps me, basically. And
Yeah.
at the same time, I get to flesh out the story even more, because in the animated series alone, a lot of things that I really wanted to put in the story could not fit in the story. I mean, like, I know that execution of, you might have really good ideas, but the execution can make or break a story, basically. Like,
Yeah.
if you could have the best idea, but if you
It's poor. It's
yeah,
executed
exactly.
poorly. Like
Be executed
Games of
poorly.
Thrones season
e-
8.
Exactly.
It
There
killed
we
it. It
go.
killed the IP basically.
Literally. Like, and like, in theory, like, the writers who wrote that, they probably thought it was a good idea, and like, in your head it thinks it looks like a good idea, but then
Yeah.
when you put it down on paper and do it the way you do with the dialogue that
Uh,
you do, because dialogue is
yeah.
part of the execution, like, scene play is part of execution. You got to get those right, and it's got to fit, and it's got to, like, chronologically kind of like make sense, and it's got to flow. Like,
Yeah.
everything's got the pacing is very important as well, because if you're constantly jumping backwards and forth here and there and there, and not giving enough screen time to this, like, then it's gonna feel a little bit kind of rushed or forced. And however, conceptually, you would have wanted that in there, but execution wise, there's only so much you can do. So with the animated series, that I struggled with that when I was only making the animated series, and there was a lot
Uh,
of things that I ended up cutting out, and I still made something that was quite decent, but I wish there was this other stuff there to, like. But now I can do that and have that kind of have the game fleshed out even further, which is
yes.
great. So right now
So
I have two complete stories which work, blend beautifully together, and
yeah.
basically complement each other with the things that I couldn't put in either of them, basically. Now they're
So
back, and
yeah.
yeah.
So basically, you decide to like cut some stuff up, and are you going to go revisit some of that stuff, or like go when the project goes along smoothly? You're going to try to come back to it and say, maybe I should. I have enough skill. Maybe I should put that in it, or it's just going to be abandoned completely.
So the things that have, like, really banished away, like, they're gone. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, as a writer, it's very difficult because I'm friends with other writers as
Writers
well,
and whatnot. Yeah.
and it's something that it's like a something that it's like letting go of a child, basically.
Yeah.
Like, this really good idea that you have, and, like, to let it go and know that no, it can't go in no matter how good it is. You just gotta scrap it. And,
Yeah.
like, it's like a discipline, almost, in a sense. Like, you really
Yeah.
gotta know what does fit and what does not fit. So with the ideas that I know are not coming back, they're
Mhm.
not coming back. But with
Yeah.
the ideas that I've that I've kind of, like, put on the sideline, but should come back, like, I feel like I will revisit. Like, there's this whole arc about this group of characters that I haven't announced yet, but
Yeah.
when I announce them, you're probably gonna know what I mean if you watch this back. But there's this group of characters, and there's this whole arc that is focused on them that I couldn't fit in either the game or the animated series. So what I'm doing is basically I'm gonna
Splitting
make
it
another.
up.
Yeah, I'm not even splitting it up. I'm making that another title for
Yeah.
Purpose, because Purpose Versa and Versa they're not the only two titles of Purpose that I'm releasing. This is going to be
Yeah.
like a whole franchise,
Yeah.
basically, and it's going to
IP
be different
basically. So
stories. Yeah, yeah,
basically,
yeah,
the project's going to be called Purpose
yeah.
at the end of the day. I
Exactly.
really enjoy that because I know it's going to be Purpose going to be like a theme of the whole franchise. What
Hmm.
is like what is or was why we are alive, why we're doing this, why the government is doing that. What's the point of being here? Do people want to accept us or not? And how are we going to reflect back into society if we're already killers? I don't want to. Just some examples.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good
Yeah.
examples. That's yeah. Those are definitely some themes that are in the projects, definitely in the story.
Yeah, the reason why I said this because I basically saw a lot of Hitman anime and whatnot, and what's that one called? Forgot its name. at the moment, but I know Hitman's just like Agent 47's just a dude that does his job. He doesn't have a personal life because he's basically a killing machine at that point.
Mhm, mhm,
But when I want to do a Hitman story, I want to, oh yeah, those John Woo flicks.
mhm,
Because basically that's how I got some of those ideas from. Because the Hitmen are not basically all bad guys. Some basically have a heart of gold, or they're really charismatic,
mm,
not just like these cold, dark people.
mm.
But anything else you like to address?
Yeah, in fact, that's a very interesting point that you brought up because the dynamic between the differences between Tobias and Caleb are literally what you just said there. Like you've got the one that's very Caleb basically. He's the one that's very kind of obedient and very, he doesn't look for, purpose outside of, what he's given basically, like what he's been told to do. And you have Tobias on the other hand, which, is basically the opposite, which is hence like why I like basically I like the two kind of like opposites basically and how each of their stories basically with those kind of like with those what's the word? Damn it. It's out of my mind.
Purpose and ideologies.
How those two different ideologies basically like dictate how their stories basically unravel basically. That's basically the whole premise of like having the two basically, and you can see that in the trailer. But that's what I wanted to in fact show in the trailer.
Like there's two different characters and they have the two different stories, but they're in the
Mhm.
same world
They're in the same world,
and they take place around the same time,
exactly the same time.
which is really cool and interesting. It's not like a versus 13 clone.
No, no, no. I was like, in fact, I was I was not worried, but I was kind of expecting a lot of this is, Kingdom
Versus
Hearts, this is Final
13
Fantasy, this is
clone.
Final Fantasy clone and all sort of stuff. And like when I chose the name Versus for Purpose Versus,
Yeah,
like I was like, someone's gonna say it. I mean, I don't
yeah,
really care that much, but I was just expecting it. Like someone's gonna say it, and you know what? Hey
yeah.
yo, people have been saying it anyway. And to be honest, like when people say that to me, I don't really take that as an offense. I take that as someone's noticed what my inspirations are. So
Yeah,
that's fine because it's true. Like
yeah,
I am like the aesthetic of Versus 13 and like Square Enix and all that stuff. Yeah, like that. I've been using that as a basis for my skill improvement
yeah.
for as long as I've been doing this. So it's only natural. In fact, if someone compares me to that, I kind of take it as a compliment more than
A
like,
compliment than an
offense.
insult.
Yeah.
Because
But like, no, it's
basically,
not the story's definitely not a clone. This story that I've written is
cannot
definitely
wait, man. I
something.
love some good stories in my action
This
games.
story, so much passion has gone into this story that I've written, so
Yeah,
much meaning. Like every character has something that definitely go for. Like all the stories are really dark, and there's not really any happy kind of like ending, quote unquote.
yeah.
Like Caleb's story in the game, I think out of the two, like Caleb gets the real rough right
Bad.
at the start, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The short end of the stick, even though the stick is short, but he got
yeah.
the short end of the short
He
stick.
he got the oh he. Caleb definitely got. I'm just thinking about Caleb's story. He definitely got out of Tobias and Caleb. Caleb got the short stick, definitely. Tobias gets the short stick a little bit later on, but Caleb, right from the get go, oh boy, yeah, he does get
Yeah,
the short stick.
yeah,
But yeah, they're really dark, and like the way I've like done it is I'm not just being dark just for the sake of being dark. Like I know
yeah,
a lot of like I hear a lot of creators, like I'll say this honestly, a lot of creators like they want to make a dark story, but they'll make it just for the sake of like, being different or being dark. But like the way I've done it is like I didn't intend to be dark. I wrote
yeah,
things that happened, and because of the flow of the story, it was dark because of it. Like I'm not gonna needlessly, be. I'm not trying to make my characters needlessly edgy.
yeah,
Like they're edgy because of what happens to them and that sort of stuff,
yeah,
which you do see in the story because they're they're not always they're not always like that. They
yeah,
become like that
like
basically.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. If
So
you
so it's
don't,
not just
yeah,
like they're not just like the generic Sasuke edgy bad
yeah,
boy and that sort of stuff.
hmm
Like they actually, and in fact, like I mean I'll give this one away, but Caleb wasn't always like that, and that's all I'm gonna say.
Yes. Cannot wait
Yeah.
to see that, dude. Like, it's really showing a lot of progress, promise, and
Mhm.
progress, which I'm really impressed. I followed you on in your project on Twitter and whatnot, and I'm just really happy for you. Like, you've
Thank you.
made it all this way, and there's no turning back now.
Definitely. I don't. To be honest, I'm
And
happy. I don't
yeah,
want to go back.
suspect when it comes out, suspect the the angry fanboys and whatnot. Screw them.
Yeah,
Suspect
yeah.
respect your
Yeah.
fans, not the fanboys.
I mean, they've already. I mean, I've already had like quite a few festivals, especially earlier on when I was doing it, because
Yeah,
a lot when it's earlier on, because back
yeah,
then I wasn't as good as as I am now and as I am growing to be. But
yeah,
like back then, obviously I wasn't as good. So then I
yeah,
got it more earlier on. But like as that's why like I make all my like development, except from like the story spoilers, I make the development public so that people can kind of like see where it's
what's
going.
going on
So
and whatnot.
and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, yeah. So they can see where it's come from, and they can see where it is now, and it's like there has been improvement along the way and that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
And yeah, it's just a good way also to basically, you know,
yeah. It's
kind of
like
connect more with you
connect
guys.
with your audience and say and not have people say what happened to this game or when's going
Yeah,
to come
yeah,
out, like
yeah. That's
or referencing
yeah.
that one project and it starts and it has three letters.
hmm
It starts SLA.
SLA.
You know what that means? Or
What
just
does
want
that
to
mean?
soul lost aside.
Oh no! Someone lost the side. Oh damn it! I went on their website recently as well, and they said that they have stuff planned for like the end of the year. Oh
And
my
it's
days!
been already at the end of the year.
I really hope they're doing well because they said that I think like 2016 they would plan to do something. I don't know if they've already done it, but like I've not heard from them in time. Like I think the
Yeah,
developer Bing Yang, I think his name is. I
yeah.
hope I got it
Yang
right. Bing
Bang.
Yang. Yang. God damn it! I'm sorry, Yang Bing. But yeah, Yang Bing. I hope he's doing all right. I just hope he's
Yeah,
doing all right, man. Because and
yeah,
also like as a solo developer, I do also respect that these things are difficult to do when
yeah.
you're on your own or you haven't got like a big back and
Team.
that sort of stuff. Like it really does require a lot of sacrifice.
Yeah,
So and most developers aren't willing to do that. Like I've spoken to a few and the kind of like it is a very big sacrifice to do it like
yeah.
solo developing or like a really small team. So if someone's doing a project like that and like it kind of like gets cancelled, like I know most
It
people would be
affects.
mad at it, but like me, I understand it wholeheartedly. I mean, I have too much drive in me to ever let my project go, and
Yeah,
I've been going through things that would make me stop, but
yeah.
I've still continued. And
Mm-hmm.
not to say that all these other like indie creators, you're too weak, but like no,
Yeah,
I understand if you do because it's definitely tough. It's a lifestyle. Like
yeah.
once you're in it, your whole life is
Is
the
the
project.
project.
It is the project and it's nothing else. And you
Yeah,
really do have to like, and in a way, it's it's good, but you really it can it's a very fine line from it becoming like unhealthy.
yeah,
So that's one of the reasons why like some like most like most indie developers that do cancel their projects, like you kind of have to like at least you did try because it's really it's more than a commitment. It's something
yeah,
that like it's the commitment, it's the pressure, it's the deadlines, it's the then it's like the time that you take away from the other stuff that you would be doing, like even like important stuff like like your whole social for like a big
life
time when I was starting the projects, like you have to sacrifice
a lot.
everything, especially when you're starting up if you
Yeah,
want it to be good. I mean, after a while when like it's like a because it's like a really steep start. The way it
yeah,
happens is if you're starting like an indie project by yourself, like the beginning is always the toughest part because no one
yeah.
knows who you are yet. Like you have to get yourself out there first,
Mm-hmm.
and then afterwards when everyone's talking about it and like it's like a nice stream and like you can just put like you're just if you upload something and it's gonna like get people talking about it, then you can
Yeah,
it's like a lot more relaxing and you can like kind of sit back a little bit but still work hard. But in the first couple of years when I was working on purpose when I had nothing for it yet,
yeah,
like you have the work that you have to put in, especially, and it gets harder each year goes by because the standard is rising every single year. So
yeah,
you have to work quickly and hard so that you don't fall behind, or something that you made back then that probably would have worked back in that year. If you take too long and release it like later on down the line when better stuff is already out, then you're going to be like you're gonna be
smashed.
wiped out. Like
Yep.
exactly. Like when I started Purpose, it looked nothing like how it does now. In fact, it
Yeah.
looks a lot more kind of well, indie, quote unquote. But like I had to like adapt to the times and like
You have to
doing
learn
that.
how to do everything. Like learn how to do Unreal, learn how
Exactly,
to do like
exactly.
character models, learn how to do like
Hmm.
how to like use a controller, how the gameplay is, screen
Exactly.
like the storyboards, the
You have to study all
writing,
that sort of stuff, and you have to
the
study lighting. You have to
composing.
be everything. You have to
Yeah.
do everything. Yeah, it really has. It really is a. It's a tax on you.
Yeah.
And yeah, it tax on like this time you spend with other people. It tax on like sort of stuff. Like
Yeah.
for the most time, especially when you're starting now, you're very isolated.
Yeah.
But then that's when I feel like that's more to me. That's a test of
Yeah.
like that's a test of commitment. That's a test of that's where you really gotta ask yourself, do I actually want to live like this? Because you're going to live like this when you
Yes.
do this. Like that's when like you really that's when you really see for yourself if you really do have the drive to do it. Because when you're sat having the idea to have it, like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea, I should start. That's nothing compared to actually doing it. Like thinking you can do it and actually doing it are two very, very different things. So that's where like, the whole can I actually do this? Like, and then like, the drive. And it's all about the drive, the doing it when you don't want to do it. Because there will be days where you wake up and you don't want to do
I
it.
want to do
And
it. Yeah.
that happens to me more times than I'd like. But
Yeah.
you have to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Because me personally, like, even though yes, there's been times where I've crossed the line and it's been unhealthy for me. But then the way I've like kind of like overcome that
Yeah.
is you have to visualize like where you're going to be, like if you work hard now, where
Yeah.
you're going to be is not where you're still going to be at right now. It's going to be at a level that you can finally relax. So you gotta go over this mountain and then you can see the sunset, but you have
Yeah.
to hike the mountain first. But there's always light at the end of the tunnel. So the people who are working on like their indie projects and that sort of stuff that feel that it's not really going anywhere, like just there's gonna be sunset. there's,
Yeah.
there's gonna be a light at the end of the tunnel, and like every step that you put in is a step closer to like the sunset. You just gotta remember that because you will get there. It's like hard work is like I do view hard work as genuinely like a proportional to like the amount of
Yeah.
success you have. So the more you put in, you will definitely get out. It's like a you get in, you get out. So that's what's
Exactly.
kept me
Yeah.
going, and that's the reason why I am so driven and will never give up. Like there have been times in my life where like any like my family look at me and they're like they think I'm crazy like
They
most of the
think you're
time
like,
because
dude,
like
Steven, go outside.
yeah, Stephen got no, my mom.
Go
My
outside.
mom, she's definitely yeah. I love my mom to pieces. Like if like she's
Yeah.
definitely like the she's definitely the common sense side of me. I'm more of like the I'll do this and the drive and that sort of stuff. But sometimes, like, even though it's annoying, like, you do need like
A
sometimes
break.
you do need
To,
that person to just kind of like have a break, Stephen, to like snatch
yeah.
your equipment over. But she
Yeah.
doesn't do that, but kind of like
I know
like
she
she's kind of like
supports you and really proud of what you did and everything, but
yeah, yeah,
sometimes they're worried about you, like you're going to
yeah,
like
yeah,
lose your
yeah.
life and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah.
It
And
kind of
that's
reminds
it's
me.
very real though. Like when you're in
Yeah.
it, you don't see it, but like it's very real.
Yeah.
Like there is a chance that like you'd get a little bit too invested in it. But like
Yeah.
that's the thing, like you really gotta like that's the thing, like if you put yourself through that, you best damn make sure that it works because
Yeah.
like and that's why like now like if I told my mom, oh, I'm quitting, she'd be like, no, you're goddamn not.
Yeah.
Because I've put in so much hard work and I put in so much sacrifice,
Yeah.
like now it better goddamn work. So therefore like you gotta
You
you
better
gotta do
do it. You
it.
better finish it.
You better finish it after
Put it on
everything that you've
Steam.
but
Put
everything you've
chapter
put
one
onto
on
yourself.
Steam.
Yeah, yeah. But that's the thing, like I like that. Like I want
Yeah.
that kind of like, that kind of
Yeah.
like it better goddamn work. Because I feel that too. Like after
Yeah.
everything you've put into it, like thinking back to when I had that idea back like, a few years ago when I was just sketching these ideas, like if I looked to the future and saw what my life would become, I'd be like, yeah, nah, I'd pass.
Yeah.
But like it's genuinely like it really does test your willpower, and
Exactly.
you really do have to have the drive for it. And if you and but like I don't want to scare people away from
Yeah.
doing it because it's an enjoyable experience. You just have to enjoy it in the first
You
place.
got to enjoy
Like
in the
me, I
first
loved
place.
it. Like I
And
enjoy it. I love it.
sorry about
Mm,
interrupting you, but
of
basically,
course.
basically it's a rough start. Like I start my own stories, and you know what the hard part is? When you
Mm.
start and when you end it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because basically, when you start getting into it, in some days you don't want to type, but let me just type a set like a page or two,
Mm.
and then you start get into the rhythm of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's definitely rhythm.
Yeah, I remember that feeling when I did a novel,
Yeah.
lost it. It's long ago,
Hmm.
and it's like really happy with it, lost it, but I understand what you're going through when you're like doing your project and whatnot. The purpose, like it's kind of called the Purpose series, or just called it Purpose Versus.
Yeah, the Purpose series, because I'm also
Yes,
working on Versa as well. So yeah, go ahead.
yeah. So it's like seeing all these indie devs like sacrificing their time to do what they love
Mm.
and what gaming is about. It's not what these DLCs, this pachinko like season passes or mandatory internet. No, it's about having a good time and making sure your players get invested in your product.
Mm.
At the end of the day, gaming games is a business.
Hmm. Definitely.
And like if you want to make a good product and get make and have trust your customers giving you money,
Mm.
I don't want to sound like capitalistic and whatnot. This is like one example.
Mm. And it's
Or
real though, still.
yeah, yeah, what I'm saying again? Yeah, giving you money because of trust. They don't know who you are and
Hmm.
who your background is, and I don't. And there'll be more times people think you're going to rip them off,
Mm.
but you have them like get invested in what you and you're being open about the process. Because basically, if you do that, you're being real with them. You're being transparent, and you're building trust with your audience.
Hmm.
And after which many people just drive AAA games because of the name alone, the IP brand, the company name, and they don't have the same drive, as you
Mm.
can tell. Like basically, you see like the same problems happen again, like the same cliches, same like gameplay mechanics being all boring and the samey, and the
Mm.
like. Don't get into like a tantrum of like how I don't like AAA games. There's some good AAA games, and there's many bad AAA games. And the reason why that's why I wanted to talk to you because really the whole project is like impressive.
Mm.
It's like give me versus vibes. I always love that aesthetic
Yeah, same, same.
ever since middle school. I'm 28 years old now, and I've been waiting for this game for years. 15 didn't cut it for me.
Mm. As we can tell.
Yeah. People think if my exception is crazy, at least you are using it.
Mm. And that's the thing, like to add on with what you said there, I feel like one of the big reasons why most AAA games are really samey is because and it also ties into like why I also like being a solo dev is these big companies have deadlines and they
Yeah,
have like most of the time they don't have time to like actually well this sounds kind of negative but they don't have time to be creative basically they don't have the
yeah,
time to actually pioneer new stuff like sometimes the safest way to actually like have make sure your release is on time and like will actually like come out is if you just don't change the wheel and just basically make something that has been done before but with like a new splash of paint and that make it as a brand that people are already invested in so that people will get it anyway and then you get the money and then you don't become bankrupt so you can do it again and again and again and
yeah,
again and like personally like I don't have anything against it. I just prefer something more, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like
I
I
get what you're
don't hate
saying.
that I don't hate that they're doing that because I understand it. It's understandable. Like
Yeah,
obviously I was working as an indie dev, like and that's why I love being a solo dev because I set my own deadlines. I'm basically my own boss basically. Like
yeah,
I'm not under like the time restrictions of you gotta do this at this time, you gotta do this at this time. Have you done this mechanic yet? No, scrap it. Like I'm not under that. Like I'm really and I feel like if a big company had the opportunity to literally just have all the time in the world to just pour money into like this. I mean, I don't pour money into my project. I mean, I'm working. I basically like I mean, I've started a Patreon, which I help with like the advertising that sort of stuff and like some of the things there. But like, and also to put food on my table. But like, I've always been working like with no money, like for free, basically.
Yeah.
But like if a big studio basically had the opportunity to just pour money like into just this one project and just have all the time in the world to do it, I think they would really like they'd like smash waters here. Like they'd really
Yeah.
like do something extraordinary. And that's something that and like understanding that, that's kind of like the reason why I like being a solo dev, because
Yeah.
all the game mechanics that I want, like the parkour, like the being able to switch weapons in mid combat, like the sword combat, not just being hack and slash, but you can like stab enemies and throw them into other enemies and basically like target that sort of stuff, like shot lock style, like
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts, and like all that sort of stuff that I really want to put in the game. I will put in the game. Like the only limit is basically what I tell myself. And I tell
Yeah.
myself no limits. So no limits. So
Yeah.
that's basically what I'm going for. I mean, yeah, I do intend to have the project released timely. Like,
Yeah.
and also the way I'm doing it is on my Patreon, I'm gonna be releasing like test builds of every like each mechanic that I make. I'm gonna make a test build for my Patreon so they can test it while it's being developed. So it's not like the
So
game's it's like no one's ever gonna play the game. The game is constantly kind of being
evolving.
released and evolving basically. So it's not
Yeah.
like so in a sense the game is pretty much gonna come out like as soon as I do that, which is in like the next couple of weeks. But like that that whole model that like AAA like studios don't have the luxury of doing,
Yeah.
like that's the reason why I prefer it, because then that gives me the ability to really be creative and actually make something that's a
Yeah.
experience that I know like people are gonna want to play, and I definitely want to play
Yeah.
after
Exactly,
playing
dude.
enough. Because I mean I love Nier Automata, but even playing Nier Automata sometimes I want more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I love the game, hence why like that's one of my inspirations. But like I feel like there can be more. And thus, with my own title, Purpose Versus, I'm really going in, and I'm not holding myself back. Like I feel there's no reason to, so I am really going in,
Yeah.
making it
Go in. Yeah.
the best that you know,
It could be.
the best it can possibly be, and I'll keep
Yes.
updating it after that and make it even better, even after it's officially released.
Yeah.
This is like where I'm putting my life, so I'm making this the best life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You got to enjoy
Yeah,
that lifestyle. Like, I want
exactly.
to
And
bring up
I
another.
do.
Yeah. I want to
Mm,
bring up another topic. Like, you heard of like Tetsuya Nomura being like the character designer,
mm,
the storyboard overseer, the director, the gameplay mechanic designer.
mm-hmm,
While there's this another guy called Daisuke Ishiwatari of the Guilty Gear fame. You heard
mm-hmm.
of the fighting game Guilty Gear. He basically like
I've
created the
heard of it.
story,
Mm,
did the gameplay mechanics, designed the characters, composed the music, did the I think he did a lot with it, but
I like that. I like that.
because basically it was like a small little project when it first started. He even did like the voice of the main character in the PXX version of Guilty Gear. So
That's awesome.
they had like small budget. We just ran out of budget for like the main character. So what he did, he just like, whatever. I'll just do the voice of the main character, and he
Mm,
did that as well as composing the soundtrack, designing the characters, and writing the story, and doing the gameplay mechanics.
mm-hmm,
So basically, Guilty Gear is basically Ishiwatari's child, like the
mm,
Mora with Versus 13,
mm,
because basically you can see all like the ideas Nomura want to do with Versus 13. His
mm-hmm,
symbolism with death, the cool badassery, the badasseriness, and the setting.
mm.
He always wanted to do a drama. And he's not I think he's like the type of guy that's getting tired of doing Kingdom Hearts. So
Yeah,
so
yeah.
so basically, when you're a creator and you're tired of working on that one series, and I said, and I want, and but investors and fans kept begging you and like giving you offers, like do this, you should do that. No, we're telling you to do this. And
Yeah,
while on the sauce, like,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Mm. Yeah, I understand that. Like,
yeah, get that guy a break, no more a break, man.
he definitely needs a big massage, a
Yeah,
nice,
just
a nice
massage and a
vacation,
break
and a break.
and a
Definitely.
project.
Yeah, a project that
A
he can really
project.
call his own and that sort of stuff.
Yes.
Like, I'd love to see like a entirely new project, entirely by Tetsuya Nomura.
Yeah.
Like, if he could just get the opportunity to like, like,
Yeah.
oh, Tetsuya Nomura, what would you like to do, and just have like a new Tetsuya
Yeah.
Nomura project. That's something that I'd like. I think he wants that.
Yes. I've been
But
looking forward to more of his work.
more time, I think he just wants to put Versus 13 in Kingdom Hearts. I think That's
That's his
really
verse 13 is his project,
it's his
basically.
child. Yeah,
So I don't want to give it up.
I'd feel so mad if like if that happened to me. Like if I was working on purpose and then like some other like person took over and changed everything, you can bet I'm I'm putting fragments of that in the next game that they're making. You can bet.
Yeah,
So like
man.
people are saying, "Oh, Nomura's salty, Nomura's salty." Like,
He ain't
damn straight.
salty.
That
He's of
like
course
damn
he's
straight. He
salty,
has
man.
every right. He has every right.
He's salty, man.
God damn it! Wouldn't you too?
Yeah, wouldn't you too if you worked on a book and the investors
Exactly.
changed everything?
Exactly. Like
That would yeah,
that's your child,
it's
and
your
someone
time,
takes
and
your
you
child. You're gonna
stripped it and
exactly.
said, "What the hell they done
You're
with
gonna
you, boy?"
goddamn rescue your child.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
man.
anything else before we go and everything? Because basically you're heading out to some amazing places.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. That's definitely the goal from here. Like I'm not. I feel look, when I started the cinematic trailer, I was gonna give myself a break, and I should. But there's something in me that just wants to keep going. You know what I'm saying? Like
Just
there's
want to
always
keep
something that
going.
just
Just want
want
to
to
keep
keep going, just
going.
want to keep going. And like I do pace myself. I mean, like my
Yeah,
mom. I keep bringing her back in there, but like
yeah,
it's relevant because like I do have my mom to thank me for like
yeah,
keeping a level head on all this. Otherwise, and but yeah, like my mom told me that and this is actually important. My mom told me that because I'm a the means define the ends kind of guy, which is why I
yeah,
work as hard as I do, because no matter how hard I work, even if I skip a few
yeah,
meals here and there, like it's the ends that's gonna like bring me to like the heights, which they
yeah,
have, and it's true. But then my mom told me it's the purity of the means that define the ends.
yeah,
So and that means like yes, you're working hard and that sort of stuff, but that work isn't gonna do you any good if you fall ill because you're burnt out and that sort of stuff. So the purity of the means defy the ends, and like I've really taken that, especially nowadays, because she actually told me that like a month ago, and I was like, oh damn, it really is. So like
yeah,
I'm not gonna take a break from the project, but I am pacing myself now,
yeah,
and I'm basically that's one of the reasons why I came up with the whole model of like instead of like what, making the game and then releasing it, I'll release like beta tests and like evolve the game
yeah.
throughout time. So then
So
I can
people have a chance to play it and get like
mm,
feedback what I should keep and what I
exactly.
should improve on.
Exactly. And then, I can guarantee that the game I'm going to make is a game people want to play because people are letting me know like what they want in it. And at the same time, I'm pacing myself and I don't have to work. I'm not burning myself out because I know something's out there. I know I'm doing a good job. I know that everything's going according to plan.
Yeah,
And yeah, and the whole thing about when I was talking about the steep curve, like
yeah,
I've already passed the hardest part, which is starting it all. Like I
yeah,
mean, when you start off, no one knows who you are, and you have to fight for the recognition on top of fighting to make the project the best you are. But
yeah,
like right now, I'm in a position where like it's a nice up gradient. Like the gradient is like it's going up and up and up and up, and like I don't have to put so much work into being noticed anymore because like I'm really thankful for like everyone who's like taking interest in the project because now like you can at that point you can kind of like not slow down but relax a little bit because
relax a
that's
bit. Yeah,
important. That's very important because I have put myself in I've put myself through like the burnout, and it's not fun. It's just
yeah,
not fun. Don't do it, guys, if you're doing your own indie projects. Like when you're starting out, I know you have to work hard and there is no other way. I can tell you, I'm not gonna lie to you and say that you don't don't overdo it because at some points you are going to have to make sure that to make sure that you're going to get up there, but just be careful when you're doing it, guys. Like I beg you. Well, from what I've gone through myself, be careful when you're overdoing it. It's necessary
yeah.
to overdo it, but be careful when you're doing it. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so that's
Yeah,
really good point because basically you need to pace yourself to
yeah,
prevent
definitely.
burnout and prevent
mm,
over stress and prevent like suicidal thoughts or doubt.
exactly.
That's a good lesson. That's a good point. Like pace yourself with goals and whatnot,
mm,
and to improve in order to keep yourself on the project besides other
mm,
means in life.
make a
So you don't worry,
schedule and then
don't worry your loved ones out, and as well as
definitely
not disappoint your
definitely
fans,
mm.
and do something that you love to do, which you're
Exactly, you
doing
have
right
to
now.
love doing it in the first place. Like you have
And
to
let me tell you
really love it.
something. Let me tell you something, my friend.
Of course.
Basically, I have a feeling if this goes well, this will be a career path for you.
Mm.
The whole Purpose series will bring you purpose.
That's my
It's like
goal.
you like basically it opens up more opportunities for bigger projects, have your
Hmm.
foot in the door in the industry. even though
Mm.
it's cutthroat,
Yeah, I'm
have
really being
more.
careful with like the industry thing because
Yeah,
I know that I already have the opportunity and I already have enough of what I have to pitch myself to like, the higher ups. But that's one thing, like I don't want to do that yet
yeah,
until like,
you're ready.
because like I really want to like self-publish first. And I'm saying like
Yeah,
before, I sell my soul to the sort of stuff
yeah,
because
yeah,
it really
whatever.
is cutthroat. Like, it's it's quite because I have friends who tell me about this all the time.
Yeah,
Like the industry, like you really gotta be careful with like what contracts you sign. You really gotta be careful with like who you're giving your project to, like, what deals they're making you and that sort of stuff. Like me, I studied contract law, sort of stuff. So
yeah. So you did your
I'm on
research
top
on
of this stuff.
contracts and
Yeah, that
whatnot.
sort of stuff. I love contract law and that sort of stuff. In fact, like
Oh,
in the future, I want to actually like do it as a full profession. Like in the far, far, far future though. Like right now, I want to do this. But
yeah,
like I'm quite aware of this kind of stuff already, but like
yeah.
it really like some of these people are really out here to just like take your project and like not like give you
Giving
anything in
you
return.
money, like the music
Exactly.
industry.
Yeah. Oh, the music industry. The music industry.
Cutthroat, man.
Exactly. Like if you're an indie, like the way I'm, because I'm also like I have a YouTube as well, and I'm also like
Yeah,
trying to like do music on the side of what I'm doing as well.
yeah,
And I'm like one of my ways to do my music is like through this project that I'm doing right now. And basically, if you're an indie creator,
yeah,
like just make, as long as you're doing something that people love and you're able to market it yourself, you're pretty much doing fine now. Like,
yeah.
and if you're like, you found a way to like make money off of it, you don't need the higher ups.
You don't need to
Just
hire
keep
screw
grow
'em,
just
man.
just keep going. Like just keep
Yeah,
going, and you'll grow.
yeah,
You'll grow to reach higher places yourself.
yeah,
Like sometimes the quickest route is the longest one.
yeah.
Like, if you know what I mean, like the quickest route to get up there, and like, nah, like sometimes you just really gotta go for it. That's why I'm indie, and I'll
Yeah.
be
Don't
indie
want, you don't want
until
people to tell you what to do with your own work or
exactly.
deadlines or what's the hypest thing. You should put it in there. Screw
Mm.
that crap, man.
Exactly. You put what you want to put in. Obviously, there is a little with what you said. There is a little bit of truth to following the hype and like also putting that stuff
Yeah,
in there because like you want to market your project, and
yeah,
therefore you are gonna have to think realistically and kind of like sometimes bite the bullet and add in stuff which, not like that you wouldn't put in, but like sometimes like if you want to, like, let's say like do collabs with like other projects or like collabs
yeah,
with like other brands and so on and other stuff, like,
yeah,
if you're a kind of person that doesn't want to do that in the first place, at least acknowledge that that is a very smart thing to do, because
yeah,
it is. I mean, I've had to deal with my music. The reason why like I've got like I made 2,000 in very short time
yeah,
subscribers is because I mean, I like Sonic, but not as much as like the diehard fan. But I knew that like on my music channel, I do a lot of Sonic covers because of the views, and then that gives me the views to like do, like, show them my other stuff. And I'm a Kingdom Hearts fan, Final Fantasy fan, and I
yeah. I
do
can
those
say, yeah.
covers. But I don't think I'd have had the views to get those had I not done that in the first place.
Sonic,
So
yeah,
sometimes it's necessary. You have to, like, especially when you're starting out, the whole curve thing that I said, like,
yeah,
that's one of the hard things that you have to go
yeah,
through, like doing stuff that you initially don't want to do to get to the point where you can do the stuff that you want to do. But also, again, you have to really, really like selective with even the stuff that you don't want to do as well, because if that also means you thinking that you have to, like, sign off to some developer that's going to take everything from you, then you might as well just not have started. Like, you have to think like
waste of time.
what you do. Yeah, exactly. You have to like do the things they don't want to do if they're going to bring positive to like what you to your goal, basically.
Yeah,
And like not and it's not going to like cut your legs from under you. That's when you should like do the things that you kind of don't want to do. But if it's really gonna like cut your legs from
don't do it.
underneath you, you don't do it.
Got
Pretty much.
plus we got the internet anyways. We got YouTube. We got
Exactly.
Patreon.
Exactly.
You're just cutting out the middlemen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I really do believe in, like, the indie era is rising. I
Yes,
really
it
believe it's
is.
rising. We're coming.
Games like Katana Zero, My
Yeah.
Friend Pedro, The
Mhm,
Messenger, Bloodstained, even though that's funded, but at least that's a Castlevania continuation.
mhm. But still, the indie, we're coming.
It's growing.
We're coming to get them.
Don't
We're
mind,
coming
it's
to
growing. It's
we're coming
coming
to
and
get
we're
them.
gonna take it.
We're
And
coming
plus
to
they
get them,
take the
guys.
fraction of time and the money to do so to create an indie project.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
so
like, if you have the passion, definitely go for it, and don't let anyone tell you, because people, especially when you're tired now, like people tell you you can't do it.
you
At
can't
points, you
do it.
would kind of be shaky in your own, like whether you
Yeah,
can do it, but some you just need to close your eyes and just do
do
it,
it.
even when you don't want to, even when you don't even believe in yourself wholeheartedly. Like, because we all, and I've said this before, like all of us underestimate what we are capable of
Yeah,
to some extent.
yeah,
Like we are all more powerful than we know.
yeah,
It's all a matter of untapping it. You've not seen how powerful you are at your fullest yet until you've tapped into it. So are you really, well, knowing that now, are you really not going to tap into it, knowing that you are greater than you think you are right now? Everyone is.
yeah. Thank you, dude. Thank you.
Exactly.
Sorry about that. I said earlier, my nose is like
Yeah,
running and
I understand.
whatnot.
Yeah, I
So
understand that.
appreciate your time being on the podcast and the like.
Definitely, it's been a pleasure.
And
It's been a
I
pleasure.
love talking with you. Learned a lot, and that
Hmm.
it's really making me hyped. To be honest, talking to the creator of the Promise Purpose series, I really felt honored. You got a
Thank you.
lot of skills,
Thank you very much.
and it took a lot of time from like the 3D modeling, the
Mm,
arrangement of the voice cast and whatnot. Because
hmm.
basically, I want to follow the whole project from beginning to end. To
Yeah.
be
I'm
honest,
glad that you're along for the ride, man. Like I've told
yeah,
many
I
people.
was late. I just came on yesterday.
Yeah. No, it's fine. I mean, this is just the beginning, pretty much. Still, I
Yeah,
mean, there's obviously been the beginning, but
yeah,
like in terms of like its rise, like 2020, like I even put in my Twitter, like 2020 is gonna be a big year, and 2021 is gonna be
bigger
the
year.
year. It's gonna be the year for me. Like 2020, I feel like 2019 set the stage for 2020. Like 2019 was the more like the, well, 2017 is when I started the project. Like 2017 was the concept stage. 2018 I kind of slacked a little bit, but 2019 was when I really like asked myself, am I ready? Am I committed? Am I gonna do this? That was like the hard part that I had to
Yeah,
overcome my own kind of like, laziness, and really be like, I'm gonna do this and
yeah,
do this and do this. So like 2019, that was like, the growth period, setting
yeah,
the stage for 2020, which is being this year where I've released all this stuff. 2021, and 2020, releasing like, the introductory stuff is
yeah.
preparing the stage for 2021. I'm really aiming to smash in 2021 and 2022, and years to come. But that's been my goal, and I let's go. You know what I'm
I'm
saying?
hyped, man.
Let's
I'm hyped,
go.
man.
Let's
Let's go.
go. I can't wait, man. This
Because basically, this project's getting me all hyped because I was interested before, and I want to talk to the person who created it. And
definitely.
thank God you had your DMs open because many
Yeah.
famous guys basically had to get a hold of them through like a Gmail, which some didn't reply back.
Yeah, no, oh, I don't like emails. I feel like it's
Too
old
slow.
fashioned. Like just
It's old
DM me,
fashioned
man.
slow, man. That's why I prefer
Yeah.
DMs.
I'll only do it for like, I mean, like obviously I do it to like, manage my voice acting, like that sort of stuff. But like,
Yes.
but like everything else, like just send me a DM if you want to talk, man. Like,
Yeah.
come on, man. Like I'm just like one of you guys.
Yes, exactly.
Basically, I'm just like one of you guys, but just with a dream and
Yeah.
just doing something.
Just for
If
fun.
anyone if anyone wants to know what programs I use or how to get started, or like, like a playlist of like stuff that like, can help them get started, like, just send
Yeah.
me a DM, follow me first. No, I'm joking.
Okay.
But but yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I'm very much like a, like, even though I'm doing all these accomplishments, like I will never let that get to my character. As I
Yeah.
always be the same goofy
Mr.
kind of
Steven.
Steven, as I've
Yeah.
always been
Yeah.
since day one.
Exactly. Really appreciate you being on the podcast.
Mhm.
And before we go, well, I always say this, but we always give up interesting ideas. Like where I was ready to have one interesting question right now, if you don't mind. Squeeze one more if you don't mind.
I don't mind. Like I
Yeah.
told you.
How you got into like composing soundtracks or
Hey, that's in fact okay. So of all the skill sets I have,
yeah,
composing has been the one that I've done the longest, and has been something I've done first. So game design, animation, all that sort of stuff. Like before I even like touched on that, I've
yeah,
always been a musician since. I mean, all right. I personally don't believe this, but my mom says it. Like I've been I've been like because my mom got me like a little piano thing like when I was like around like 2 months old. When I was like around about like almost one, like like I apparently I could play, but like I know it's I have perfect pitch, so I semi believe it, semi don't, because like round about when I was like in like nursery, no, not yeah, nursery, kind of like year one, kind of
Yeah.
like in school, like I was obsessed with music, obsessed with like piano and that sort of stuff, and
Yeah.
like I used to play every single day for literally like until now. Like I think I only stopped like when I was in like my late teenage years, like A levels and other stuff, and I got busy. But every single day of every single year, I would like play piano, and I'm self-taught. So,
Yeah.
but the thing is, like people say you're self-taught and you're this good. Like no way, but like you understand, like with repetition, you're gonna
Better.
eventually be good. Exactly. Like even if you start off with nothing, if you keep doing one thing over and over again, by default you are eventually gonna be good. And
Yeah.
I'm 21 years old, so for 21 years consistently I've been playing piano, like just experimenting. And the way I've done it is like I'd be like experimenting, see what sounds good with like different notes and not, and like kind of like get used to the sounds. And like I had this little keyboard that tells you what the notes are when you play. So
Yeah.
like after like learning that, it's like, because like there's only so much to learn with that. Then like I eventually started trying to like compose my own songs and that sort of stuff. And like I've been
Yeah.
doing that for like longer than I can remember, but I've been doing that like kind of like officially digitally. Like I started when I was like around about like 10, 11. And then like I've been like kind of like composing songs like like on the computer, like with like
Yeah.
like a MIDI synth and all that sort of stuff,
Yeah.
literally ever since. So this is, it's like breathing to me. Like I mean, like if anyone asks me, yo, make a song, like I'll make you a song now. Like it's pretty
Yeah.
much like it's like third nature, like fourth, like they say second nature, but it's like third, like fourth, like fifth nature to me. It's like
Yeah.
talking basically, because I've done it like my whole entire life.
Yeah.
And the reason why I wanted to do a project, and also I was inspired by like like the anime that I told you about, but also I've always wanted to like make music for a project.
Yeah.
Like like how Yoko Shimomura or like the Nobuo Uematsu, like if I
Yeah.
butchered their names, I'm sorry. But like yeah, like I always wanted to be one of those composers, like the Goshinas for like the God Eater. And
Yeah.
like you know I'd like do commissions here and there, but it was like really slow. And like when I was starting out, like some people, especially when you're starting out as a composer, like you get these really like awful deals, and some people don't even like pay you or credit you even. So like I was thinking, yeah, I really had it rough as like when I was doing commissions as like a composer. So I was thinking to myself, like, you know what?
I'll just do my own
I'll
project
t-
and show off from
there we
there.
go, there we go. I was like, you
Tired of
know
being
what?
ripped off, man. Because
You know what?
basically,
On top
you
of
took your time and
mm,
energy, and people don't credit you, let alone
mm,
pay you little. That's why I
exactly.
always
I was
feel
like,
I always
mm,
feel guilty when I do like small little projects like commissions and whatnot. Like because
mm.
basically it's like takes a lot of time and efforts. Like really sad. I feel sometimes feel bad for them.
Exactly. I mean, no, like sometimes, like I mean, I've done pro bono work before, and like I'll volunteer to do pro bono work, and like I'll offer my services
Yeah.
for free. Sometimes, like no, because like I can do music is my passion. Like I'll do it for free and not feel bad. But like when I actually do ask for money for it, and then like they don't give me money for it, then that kind of did hurt. And like it
Yeah.
happened like more times than I wanted it to. So I was like, you know what? Let me just be my own client
Yeah.
pretty much. And I basically like, because I had a little bit of like 3D animation knowledge, like I already told you, and a little bit of
Yeah.
game design knowledge that I've had, but like um everything that I've learned animation wise and like 3D, and like everything that you've learned to make purpose now has more so been like an accumulation of like the past 3 years of just me learning it, all that sort of stuff. And but like composing music, I've always been good at that. That's been me. Like
That's part of you. It's basically second, third
exactly.
nature to you.
Exactly. Like I've been I started my music channel way before I started Purpose.
All
And in
this.
fact
Yeah.
I just wanted to like I just wanted to be a composer, like as like a job, like a hired composer. But
Yeah.
it's really hard to make it up there as a composer without,
Yeah. So might as well
getting.
start your own project and
So I might
go
as
the
well,
hard way.
do that sort of stuff. And who knows, like I might someone big up there might be in need of like my musical services, which actually they already are. Like I've already been like received a few DMs from like some potential clients. And yeah, like I feel like what I've done is actually kind of smart, because like if you make a project as big scale as this, like yourself, then you're basically giving yourself your own like debut to branch onto other things. So
Yeah.
yeah, like that's
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, I know
pretty
it's getting
much.
late for you in England and whatnot.
No, it's only 9. Like I'm
Oh,
usually
9 o'clock.
up
Okay,
later than that.
so
But
I'm
yeah,
about. We've been like running long enough, and I've been
yeah.
tired of things saying we should like. Well, we already did like the final sentence already, and
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say, people, if you enjoyed this podcast episode, don't forget to support it. Don't forget to leave that like in the video on
Leave
YouTube.
the like,
Leave a comment in the comment box,
leave the comment.
and hit that big red button on the subscribe that says subscribe and
The
that
big
blue
red button,
bell
guys, and the blue bell. I'm
for
watching you.
notifications about podcast episodes like this, live streams, and videos.
Mm.
And don't forget to support the Anchor channel and the podcasts for the Spotify, the Google Podcast. Support those too, man, so you can help this channel grow and support your indie creators that love what they do and love their customers. And I appreciate you. I appreciate like 1 or 2 people. At least I'm growing. It's a rough start. We're at we're almost close to the end of season 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I love doing this podcast of mine, talking to people, learning a lot from them.
Mm-hmm.
And last words before we end the episode.
Stay safe, guys, in these dire times, and if you have an aspiration, leap in and go for it. Follow your heart. May your heart be your guiding key. There we go. Let me throw that in there.
Yes, more mom. Yes. So that's all to say for now. Peace and sayonara.
Yeah, man, that's great.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. Hello, and nice seeing you again. And thank you for checking out today's episode of the podcast. And if you enjoyed the podcast, make sure you hit that like button. Make a comment in the comment box below. Type a comment in the comment box below the video. And don't forget to subscribe. Hit that red subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that blue bell button for notifications on new podcast episodes, vlogs, new let's plays, and new live streams. And I've been looking forward to entertaining you all, and I don't want any of you to miss out on any of my content. That is all for now, and I hope you have a nice day. Sayonara.